Beaver, today girls can be doctors and lawyers, too, you know. They're just as ambitious as boys are.
I am strong. I am invincible. I am woman.
In the year 2017, we take for granted the role of women in the workforce. We don't think twice as our mothers rush out the door each and every morning to professional jobs. It's not uncommon to see women as the president of companies, for women to be on board of directors or doctors, or as we saw in the last presidential election, for a woman to run for the president of the United States. But that was not always the case. It was not that long ago that a woman was expected to be a housewife, to stay at home, raise the kids, cook the family meals, and keep the house clean. People said that a woman's place was in the kitchen. Old television shows always depicted that the stay-at-home mom dressed nice and always wearing her pearls. She had dinner ready when the man of the house came home from work. Back then, society did not treat or view women as an equal. But a storm cloud came along in 1963, and things would never be the same when Betty Friedan released her book, The Feminine Mystique. Things began to change for women, and the world and society would never be the same after the popular and controversial book.
A woman today has been made to feel freakish and alone and guilty if simply she wants to be more than her husband's wife, her children's mother, if she really wants to use her abilities in society.
Betty Friedan was born in 1921 in the town of Peoria, Illinois. Betty's father, Harry Goldstein, was a jewelry store worker, and her mother, Miriam, was a housewife. But that changed when Harry fell ill and was no longer able to work at his job. Miriam decided she must help the family financially and got a job writing for the social page of the local newspaper. Betty Friedan watched with interest as her mom went to work and witnessed her mother's life as more rewarding and gratifying with her new role in the family and working outside of the home. It was while a student at Peoria High School that Betty discovered her desire and love for writing and joined the school newspaper in order to write more. Following high school graduation, Betty decided to further her education at the all-female university, Smith College, in 1938. In her first year of college, she was awarded a scholarship for her outstanding academic performance. Soon after, in 1941, she became the editor-in-chief of the college newspaper. Her writing and editorials were becoming more and more political and most often controversial. The following year, she decided to further her education in a rich, liberal environment at the University of California, where she became even more active in politics. During this time, Betty met Carl Friedan, and the two got married in 1947 and had 3 children, Emily, Jonathan, and Daniel. When Betty went to her 15th college reunion in 1957, she took a survey of college graduates, focusing on their own education, and asked how satisfied they currently were with their own lives. With the survey results, she began to write articles about what she called the problem with no name. Many housewives were thankful as they felt that they were not alone experiencing the same problems. Betty understood the problems facing women at the time and began to formulate an idea that many would consider very radical at the time. The feminine mystique was beginning to come together for her.
A year ago, this woman heaved a brick through the rose-colored picture window of the American suburban bungalow and invited the resident housewife to take a clear look at the outside world. This book has sold more than 50,000 copies in the hardcover edition.
In 1963, her book shook the country as a society began to question the role of women in the world that would soon change forever.
The feminine mystique has made us feel it's unfeminine to use our rights, to really want equality, to want to take part in the decisions of the world in politics. Career woman almost became a dirty word.
With the book, women began to question the role of a housewife and staying at home with the kids. They began to question that idea, wondering if there wasn't more in life for them than that.
Why were they not satisfied by the 3 children and the perfect house?
Up until that time, I was thinking that I was just different. A lot of my girlfriends were getting married straight out of college, And I was thinking, I don't want to do that at all. But reading that book let me know that there were masses of women who felt differently. And that, it was stunning.
Betty still had to overcome the old way society looked at women. It was going to be hard to effectively make a change.
Well, whenever we cook inside, Mom always says to cook it. But whenever we cook outside, you always do it. How come?
Well, it's sort of traditional, I guess. You know, they say a woman's place is in the home, and I suppose as long as she's in the home, she might as well be in the kitchen.
The stay-at-home housewife, which Betty believed, as her mother did, a boring and stifling way to live. Women felt trapped in their own house. They sought more from life and wanted a career as a working woman. They need to feel important. Not all women were so ready to accept the change Betty wrote about. Many women were angered by the book.
But to the women content with their traditional roles, the feminine mystique felt like a slap in the face.
I first read The Feminine Mystique in the winter of 1964. I felt personally judged. All these things that women at home can do, which are extremely worthwhile to society, were dismissed as dilettantism and unworthy of any respect.
Friedan believed that women were just as capable as men for any type of work. The book became a bestseller. Historians made the claim that Friedan was the starting point and cause of the second wave of the women's movement and had a major impact on national events.
In the 60s, women were very discriminated against. There were very few job opportunities. I was like a lot of women who were holding it all inside, thinking that our society would never change. And then Betty Friedan wrote her book, which I think fomented a revolution. So many women read that book and thought to themselves, that's how I feel. That happens to me. I'm not the only one. And they started discussing it with other women and found that other women felt the same way that they did. And everyone felt the need to do something about it at that time.
And do something about it, Betty Friedan did. With the rise of her own popularity as a leading voice for women, Betty was now ready to further the feminine mystique and take it to another level of change. There would be national speeches, and she led many marches for change. In 1966, she co-founded and was elected president of the National Organization of Women, also known as NOW. NOW's goal was to bring women and women's issues into discussion and the mainstream of American society. NOW marched and led protests demanding that women have full and total equal partnership with men. The group was controversial at the time, for so much has changed since then. From her humble beginnings as a newspaper reporter to best-selling author and activist, she changed the role of women in both the workforce and in the home all around the world. Her accomplishments have been so great that today, when we see a female doctor or lawyer or president of the United States, we think that this is the way it should be with women and men, equal in all respects, equal in corporate American, and equal in the home. Women and men alike owe much to the vision of Betty Friedan.
Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute, built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. Oh, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride in my steps, the curve